Hey folks, Ted from Immersion here, and while this isn't necessarily breaking news, I haven't really seen too many people talk about it, and I saw it came out kind of last week, and basically Wizards of the Coast is opening a new publishing branch or publishing arm. Now, if you're unfamiliar, in the past, Wizards of the Coast used to have their own publishing group. I don't know exactly how it works, but basically it means for authors to publish D&D novels and D&D content under the Wizards of Coast umbrella. Wizards of the Coast would figure out all the inner workings, and there's a bunch of novels that have come out over the years. Pretty much if you've seen any sort of D&D fantasy novel in the past, it's usually been published via Wizards of the Coast, at least obviously once Wizards of the Coast owned Dungeons & Dragons. An exception of things that continue to come out is all of the Drizzt novels from R.A. Salvatore have been continuing, and I believe I covered this years and years ago, probably like almost 5 years ago, when they originally shut down the publishing branch. I remember that was news at a point. But I saw this article on Bell of Lost Souls, and I haven't seen anything else like where this information officially was sourced from. So take it with a grain of salt, but the products apparently do exist. So let's take a look. So it says here, WotC will take to middle school later this year with a series of novels from best-selling authors like Madeleine Roux and Molly Ostertag. So this is new kind of young adult novels here. So it says, Wizards of the Coast is making this dream come true for a new generation. Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro are teaming up with HarperCollins children's books to create middle grade content, which sounds like a backhanded compliment if there refers to the... Again, this is colored with the flavor text of the person writing the article. But middle grade content to me sounds like middle school content, right? We're talking probably grades 6 to 9, 5 to 9, somewhere in that range. You're shooting for middle school content. Folks, you know, slightly kind of like chapter books. We've moved on from elementary school, sort of primary school stuff, and we're in, you know, middle school range. The new publishing program will result in a series of novels, graphic novels, and illustrated chapter books aimed at introducing the worlds and ideas of D&D to middle schoolers throughout America over the next few years. And the WotC/Hasbro/HarperCollins team up has some truly stellar authors and illustrators leading the way. So that, again, we've heard in the past. We know WotC is a business. We know they're owned by Hasbro, and they have made commitments over the years to continue to increase the sales. We're not entirely sure how they're going to do it. They've had some stellar knockout numbers before, and part of that has been this crossover with Magic the Gathering, continuing throughout, bringing in new players. The, again, collaborations with folks like, Matt Mercer doing the Explorer's Guide to Wildmount, bringing back classic campaign settings like Eberron, planning to bring Ravenloft and 2 more classic campaign settings next year, and increasing the overall production and number of books that they release each year from around 2 to 3 to upwards of 5 now. And if we know there's whatever wonky stuff's going on with possible virtual tabletops in the future, now we're going to expand into content to bring younger readers and younger players into the fold with these novels, all right? So the D&D publishing program will launch in fall 2021 with the publication of the first ever middle grade novel, Dungeon Academy: No Humans Allowed, written by New York Times bestselling author Madeleine Roux and acclaimed artist Tim Probert. It says of Lightfall. The second and third installments in the Dungeon Academy series are set for fall 2022 and fall 2023. The second series in the D&D publishing program will be the Dungeons & Dragons Harper chapters, with book number 1 scheduled for winter 2022, and the second and third installments to launch in winter 2023 and 2024. To round out this diverse middle-grade publishing program, Harper Alley will be creating an original D&D graphic novel series written by Ignatz and Prism Award-winning graphic novelist Molly Knox Ostertag, with illustrations by acclaimed artist, I think that's Xanth Balma. I'm sorry, I'm mispronouncing names here. First installment will hit shelves in fall 2022 with books 2 and 3 in 2023 and 2024. Both of these creative teams are sure to delight. And then they list about who some of the different folks have, what they've worked on. And then here is the cover, but is actually available for pre-order on Amazon right now. So here you can see set for November 2nd of this year. And it says... Welcome to Dungeon Academy, where monsters and creatures train for the dark world that awaits just beyond the dungeon walls. But Zelladora Zelly Stormclash is a bit different. She's the one thing monsters and creatures of the Forgotten Realms fear the most. Zelly is a human. Knowing she'll never be accepted, Zelly's parents disguised her as a minotaur and hope she'll blend with the Academy's monstrous surroundings. Zelly does her work, keeps to herself, and becomes invisible to everyone. While in a History of Horrible Humans class, Zelly learns of the great human adventurer Alidora Steelstrike, who oddly resembles her. Could Zelly also be Steelstrike? Seeking answers to her true lineage, Zelly embarks on a dangerous adventure, but she won't be alone. A vegan owlbear, a cowardly kobold, and a shape-shifting mimic will join Zelly on her quest for truth in a world that holds no place for them. And who knows, perhaps these monstrous misfits may discover some truths of their own. Get ready for humor, heart, magic, and adventure as middle graders and beyond learn to embrace who they are, accept others' differences, and discover that making mistakes is okay as long as you learn from them. I'll tell you what, say what you will, but that sounds freaking amazing. That party, and you can see it right here on the front cover. Here she is, sort of dressed up like a minotaur. Here's the vegan owlbear. I'm digging his kind of beard action there. There's our very cracked out looking cowardly kobold and our shape-shifting mimic, who is currently a book. We can see a displacer beast tentacle over there. It looks like probably a blink dog right there. And a knoll and a slod. Wow, that's something, huh? We get some bats up here. There's a red dragon up on the top. An eyeball up there. I mean, I would love to play in a D&D game with a party like that. The DM has obviously, obviously it's a novel, but the DM who would allow you to play in a party that crazy and diverse is wild. It is also only $10.99 to get a hardcover version. You can also get it on Kindle and audio CD. So I thought that was really cool. My kids are a little young. They're 4 and going to be 2. So this is obviously not really their wheelhouse yet, but there's no reason that I couldn't buy them now and then read them to them later. Obviously, I think the purpose of this is for you to have these, stocked in your middle school classroom or in your library so that kids can take these out and read them themselves. But considering it sounds like the stories are a little more fun and lighthearted, they might be good to read to younger kids. And I'll be honest, some young adult novels and stuff that's out there is pretty solid stuff. So I'm going to read it anyway. So I'll go ahead and pick this up. And it's coming in November, so that's pretty cool. So I'll have an Amazon affiliate link to Dungeons & Dragons Dungeon Academy No Humans Allowed at #1. So you can go and pick that up if you want. If you do so, it's an affiliate link, so I do benefit slightly monetarily if you were to do so. And I'll put a link to the article that I referenced as well. Again, it's not something I look on Wizards of the Coast's page. I was scrolling through, I couldn't find anything on it, like on their main page, and I flipped through their Twitter for a while and I didn't see anything. So why are things like this just not being pushed out openly? To me, this seems like a huge win and something that should be celebrated. And it just kind of if you don't know or in the right circle of the internet, these kind of things just don't exist, and it just blows my mind. This is a good story to tell. We're doing things to help have families or even just the general public introduced Dungeons and Dragons. And I'd say for the most part, the general stigma of D&D has been removed. I know that's not 100% the case, but I feel like it's a lot more accepting for me to say out in public to random people hey, I play Dungeons and Dragons now than it would have been 10 years ago. I would have gotten a lot of weird looks, and the surprising amount of people that'll be oh, sweet, I play 2 now versus back then is obviously drastically different. But I think this is I'm super jazzed for this. It sounds like a really fun story. It's, what would be even better, and I don't know if it will happen, but would be this is a novel, but if you have a character sheets in the back, or down the road you release since this is going to be a series, and if you know anything about kids series, if something does well, they always want to blow it up and make a ton more of things. You could make this series and then make a kids-based adventure book or starter kit kind of a thing with dice to play if you wanted to play as Zelly or the owlbear or the mimic or the kobold, and you do that. So kids can read these books and be oh man, this is so fun, I want to play Dungeons and Dragons. And then WotC's just well, here you go, kids, here's the book you want to play as your favorite characters, here you go. And then they can roll right into it. And I think that would be a very smart business move, because it might already be in the pipe for they're working on that, but that's something that I would do were I in charge. So let me know your thoughts, and probably most importantly, in my opinion, were you even aware of this, or was this the first time you're hearing of it? Because it's kind of it's not a secret, but it's not being promoted. I don't know. Anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and I'll see you all next time.